A bullseye is a known geographic point from which we can reference the position of objects. Sounds sort of complicated and numbery, but we're going to simplify things. So a bullseye call is a bunch of numbers to demonstrate the position of something. The easiest way, I think, to understand it is to imagine you're standing right on top of a compass pointing at something. In this case, we're pointing at that plane 20 miles away, and we're pointing a heading of 120. So then in this case, the bullseye call would sound like this. Plane, bullseye 115, 20, 30,000. So let's break that down. Plane is what it is. Bullseye 115 is the bearing from the bullseye. 20 is the distance from the bullseye in nautical miles. 30,000 is the altitude. Then the final piece is aspect, and we'll cover that more a little later in the video. Now we'll look at BRA, bearing, range, altitude, aspect. Imagine Compass Man is now standing on top of our airplane. There's a bad guy out there. He's pointing at 270, 40 miles at that bad guy. That BRA call, or the bearing, range, and altitude from our airplane, would be BRA 270, 40, 25,000. So as pilots, we simply look heading 270 for 40 and know the bad guy's there. Those are the simplified versions of Bullseye and BRA. Now we're going to move into a video that explains them a little bit more thoroughly.
In modern air combat, it's easy to get overwhelmed with information. With everything that gets thrown at a pilot, it's not hard to lose track of your location, or the location of allies and the people trying to kill them. So how do you keep up with everyone's location? And how do you convey that information quickly and concisely? The US military uses bullseye and geographic references for this, so let's go over what those are and how they work. As long as there have been air forces going to war in large numbers, there's been a need to get them coordinated. Getting help when you need it or warning allies of a threat are both things that need to happen fast. It wasn't long before air forces found that vague requests didn't help. Saying there are enemy fighters on me doesn't help if no one knows where you're at. The simple solution for this was to agree to a common reference points ahead of time for everyone involved in a mission. Now someone could say there are enemy fighters 10 miles north of the reference point. Then everyone who hears the message would know exactly where that is. Using a very prominent landmark like a mountain or a city makes this a lot easier for everyone involved. That way they can just look out of the canopy and see it. No special technology is needed for a reference point you can see with your own eyes. During the Vietnam War, the city of Hanoi and its surroundings were often the target of US airstrikes, so it became the common reference point. And so it quickly earned the name of Bullseye among air crews. When enemy fighters or air defenses were spotted, they could be quickly located in reference to the city. A large city on a river is easily identifiable. So when a bomber crew announced enemy interceptors were located on a bearing of 270, 15 miles from Bullseye, it was very easy for every friendly fighter in the area to converge on that location. They could just visually locate Hanoi and then look to the west. And all this was done with a single radio call from the bomber. Each individual fighter did not need its own personalized talk-on. This was such an effective tactic that it was reused in Desert Storm, where the city of Baghdad became Bullseye. And now it's codified in doctrine for all US services. Here's how it's described. Bullseye is an established reference point from which the position of an object can be referred to by bearing and range. And the way that it works is that a contact can be described as being at the following location. This would be read as 225-30. You might hear some people read that as 225-430. But adding that 4 in there could lead to confusion since 4 sounds like the number 4. So stay away from this habit. Now there are a couple special rules to remember besides this one. If a contact is within 5 nautical miles, it can be described as at Bullseye. So if you're a part of a flight named Showtime 11, then you might hear a call that sounds like this. Showtime 11, lead group, at Bullseye, 39,000, track north, hostile. Now you and everyone on the radio know a hostile group is flying north over the Bullseye at 39,000 feet of altitude. It's all very fast and efficient. Bullseye can also be given a code name in special circumstances. So let's say it was codenamed Rock. You might hear the following. Mike, South Group, Rock, 25529, 39,000, Cap, hostile. That lets us know a group of hostile aircraft are flying a combat air patrol orbit at 39,000 feet at a location 29 miles west of Bullseye. One last rule to remember with bullseye is this. Bullseye will not be truncated to bull to avoid it being misinterpreted as bra. Okay, so you might be asking, what is bra? It's another way to communicate a location to an aircrew. It stands for bearing, range, altitude, and aspect, and it's exactly what it sounds like. This would be an informative message indicating the magnetic bearing to a target, its range in nautical miles, altitude, and aspect. Aspect is going to be a descriptive word telling us which way the target is facing relative to you. Here's how that is visualized. If you were piloting a fighter here, then you would be in the target's hot aspect. This would be the beam aspect. These two aspects have some overlap, so you might hear either cold or drag. In other words, the target is dragging you behind it. One thing to remember about bra calls is that they are specific to one aircraft. So in this example, the target is at a magnetic bearing of 360 from this fighter. But it would be at 040 for this one, and 290 for this one. So if a controller wanted to pass on the target's location to all three, then 3 separate bra calls would be needed. That's why bullseye is the primary method. Only one radio call has to be made to get everyone on the same page. But there are some special situations where a bra call is mandatory. If the information is only for one aircraft or is a direct response to these requests. BRA is simply a request for directions to a specific air contact in BRA format. Bogey dope is a request for information on indicated or closest group in BRA format. The other time when a BRA format is used is when a controller is reporting a threat. This happens whenever an untargeted hostile or bandit or bogey is within a brief range of a friendly aircraft. And it would sound like this. Showtime 11, lead group, threat BRA 27055, 39,000, flank northeast, hostile. Now Showtime 11 knows there is a threat directly west, 55 miles away. It's flying northeast and showing its flank. The controller is also letting Showtime 11 know that it has been confirmed as hostile. And since this information is directly relevant to Showtime 11, the BRA format is used instead of bullseye.
All right, we're going to take a look at bullseye from inside the cockpit. This is what the bullseye looks like. This is the Blue 4 bullseye. It's concentric blue circles on the map. The Red 4 also has one that's red. So this bullseye is actually in a good location because it's on a very recognizable geographic point. It's on this huge lake near Krasnodar-Pashkovsky. So, for instance, I could see the bullseye essentially visually. This is that huge lake. If I was flying far away, you could still see this huge lake. And if AWACS was to call, hey, there's a bad guy 20 miles west of bullseye, well, I can get eyes on this lake, and then from the lake, look to the west about 20 miles and try and ascertain the bad guy that way. The old way that I used to do this was really cumbersome. I would find the bullseye, drag a line from the bullseye to me. Okay, that line is 068 for 25, so now I know I'm bullseye 068 for 25. Let's say AWACS called, oh, there's bandits 120 for 70. Then I would drag a line to 120, stretch it out to 70, make a map marker out there, and kind of fly that way. Very cumbersome, and there's a much better way to do it, and that is via the waypoint system in our cockpit. So sometimes the bullseye, the mission maker will have the bullseye on top of a waypoint. We don't have that today, so we're going to create a waypoint. So this will be kind of a two-part tutorial in case you don't know how to create precise waypoints. I am going to go to my first empty waypoint right there. I'm going to go to the bullseye and I'm going to get the coordinates of the bullseye by putting my cursor right over it and then press left alt enter. That gives me this coordinate screen here that stays up when I go back in the cockpit. So now I'm going to, on my waypoint, I'm going to box precise right here to make sure that we're going to give precise waypoints. And then up here, I'm going to click AC for aircraft. And then down here, I'm going to click this button to make sure that it lat long seconds. So now I'm getting 8-digit and I'm going to enter 8-digit because I boxed precise right there. So click UFC, come over here, position north. I hit northing, and then I'm going to take my long form right here, 4459.55, 4459.55, enter. Then my 35, my last two digits, 35, enter. That gives me my 8-digit northing. Now my easting, I'm going to click east, 390938. 390938, enter, and my final two digits 5252, enter. I don't need to give an elevation for this. So that's created waypoint 4 on the bullseye. I'm going to close this screen. Now with waypoint 4 selected, click waypoint AA, or air-to-air waypoint right here. Box that. Now once that's boxed, we can go to our air-to-air radar, and now you'll see down here the center number 20837. That is our current position bullseye. So we're currently bullseye 20836, 24,000. If I open up the map here and I drag a line from the bullseye more or less to us, it's looking like 207 for 34. And as you can see here, 208 for 35. So that's telling us our current position bullseye. This number up in the upper left corner is the position of our targeting gates on our radar. You can see as I slew those move around drastically. GCIs prefer to give calls in bullseye to everybody as opposed to bra. Bra is much easier for us, and if a GCI does say bra, they may say, we like it bra 030 for 20. I know, okay, 030 is right there, so I'm going to be looking over here at 20. But they give it to us in bullseye. So what's the hardest, I think, is taking me the longest, is getting a bullseye on my radar. So let's say, for instance, the GCI says, hey, there's bad guys, bullseye 363 for 20. Well, I've got to slew my gate around and try and find 363. Okay, there's three. Well, there is no 363, but 343. Let's say, okay, there's 343. Now 20. So that's how you're doing that. Now, if I lock this bad guy down here, or actually put my gates over this bad guy right here, you can see I get my gates over him. Now I can see he is bulls 124 for 27. I could call GCI and say, for instance, that was an unknown contact, hey, I've got something bulls 127 for 30. Can you tell me what that is? GCI will say, oh, that's bad guy. Shoot him. Another piece of functionality on the SA page. If I go to the SA page, I make the SA page soy. You can see as I slew these brackets, this number up here is changing. That's the same thing. It's telling you your brackets in relation to bulls. However, if I slew the brackets over a target, now I get some information down here. BE. That's his bearing from bullseye. So when I've got my target, my gates over him, he is bulls 135 for 32. Bullseye 135 for 32. Oops, you can see if I draw a line there, that's 139 for 34. He's moving, but as you can see, that's giving us our his position bullseye. For some reason, the bra is missing right now. Normally, right above there, there's a line for bra that would tell the bra from us, but that is all the functionality in cockpit that we can use the bullseye system for, and that's it. Thanks.